Yes.
So is knowing who you are the meaning of life?
What?
Is knowing who you are the meaning of life?
Yes. And what the Buddha said was the meaning of life is love and compassion. So what we truly are inside is love and compassion for all beings. So if you're not controlled by your like and dislike mind, then this other mind appears, the mind that's connected to everything. So people here study environmental things, right? So some of that comes from experiencing directly what it means to ruin a part of the earth. So in the United States, I'm from the United States, we have fracking, we have polluted water, the air is polluted, we're always fighting about cleaning up the air and cleaning up the water. People are dying left and right from environmental pollution. So if you take away your like and dislike idea, then you see that. And then naturally you'll want to do something about it. So one Buddhist idea is that if you take away your like and dislike mind, then naturally appears inside this connectedness. And this connectedness is what we call love and compassion. It means becoming one.
In the grand scheme of things, beyond me, does it make a difference if I'm here at all?
Yeah, being here and not being here is opposites, right? So ultimately, human beings are always thinking in terms of opposites rather than becoming one. So you think good, bad, exist. You're talking about exist, not exist. Moral, immoral. I win, I lose, I get it, I don't get it. Life, death. Our mind is always thinking that way. And that's the play of this circumstance. So ultimately, if you take away your opposites thinking, then you become one. So that question evaporates.
Meaning, not meaning doesn't make a difference.
Right. The only thing that makes difference is becoming one and helping the world. Besides, you are, right?
I am.
Yeah.
I wasn't, it would make a difference.
Right. And soon, this idea, I am, will also go away, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But that's why meaning or not meaning shouldn't make a difference.
Of course it makes a difference because of pain and suffering. So, he's suffering, right? Let's say, just like the man on the subway car that he was talking about. Then you step into the car and you say, well, this is all crap because it doesn't even make any difference if we exist or don't exist. The guy is still really angry or really suffering. So, usually in Buddhism we have let go of your idea and become one with this other person. So my teacher is always saying, if somebody's happy, I'm happy. If somebody's sad, I'm sad. If somebody's angry, I'm angry. You help the person. So it's all about love and compassion. It's not about exist or not exist. So you could say, well, suffering, so what? Soon it'll go away. All these people that are suffering will soon die. Right? But right now, it doesn't feel so good. So that's your true self will become that. It becomes all kinds of things. Yeah.
Since you mentioned true self, finding your true self, doing something for your why do you need a teacher or the religion?
Yeah, you don't. Those are all just techniques. They're all just techniques. Actually, you already have it, so why would you need a teacher? But you're thinking about it all the time, right? So sometimes a teacher can help take away your thinking. Right?
So there's nobody who says, you found your true self?
Somebody might say that, but what does it mean? I mean, it's a good idea. Good idea. But then the question is inside. You know, it's always about this self kind of searching. But yeah, you can wake up. In fact, you do it all the time. Anytime you let go of your opposites thinking, you become it. You're it all the time, actually. You just think you aren't it. So from a Buddhist point of view, you're already Buddha, and you have been Buddha all the time. You just think you aren't, because you're attached to your thinking. You just let go of your thinking for a second, then you're it again. Happens all the time. But you don't believe it, because you're very attached to your thinking. So you're attached to your opposites thinking. Then it doesn't go away. You just think you aren't it anymore. Okay? Any other question? Yeah.
So you've been talking about finding one's true self and
Right.
one's nature,
Mm-hmm.
and using the example of the man in the subway,
Mm-hmm.
can one find out that, for example, that man is aggressive? He had an aggressive
Right.
behavior, even though he knows that aggressive feeling came from his situation. Can he come to a conclusion? Can he find out that his true nature is being? He has a natural balance to be aggressive and be explosive, or have these characteristics. Can he come to a conclusion that his pure nature is aggressive?
I don't know what you mean.
This, for example, he was aggressive.
Right.
Does this aggressive feeling is only based on his situation, or can it be part of his true nature?
Yeah. Yeah, it always comes down to why. Why be aggressive? Why? In fact, everything in human beings is based on intention, ultimately. So what's your intention? So if he's aggressive to get something for himself, like maybe I want to dominate everybody else at the dojo, or I want to prove to my wife that I'm really a tough guy, or my friends, or whatever. So that's a kind of I, my, me reason. Right? Pay attention to me. It's usually what human beings are about. I want this. Listen to me. Now, it's conceivable that aggressive kind of behavior could be used to help people. So you might intervene in a situation where something bad is happening. And on the outside, it looks like it's aggression, but you're not doing it to be aggressive. You're doing it to diffuse the situation. It's possible. I don't know. It depends on every situation is different and unique, utterly unique. So actually, he said the guy actually wasn't being aggressive. He was suffering. So somebody misperceived what was going on there, right? Which we do all the time if we have a particular kind of idea. So this guy that went over and hugged him actually connected with the guy rather than attacking him. But always in Buddhism, it's about intention. Intention. So the intention behind is the important thing, not what the particular action is. So I don't know what the situation might be, but you might even kill somebody out of a good intention. You know, like you're going to save everybody else, so you kill one other person. If your intention is not for you, or not for your group, or not for any kind of I, my, me reason, it's kind of a short course in Buddhist ethics. And it's very simple. I, my, me, or to help the world. So there are no like absolutist Buddhist moral precepts, for example. It always has to do with why do it. So you might lie to help the world. Okay? Yes.
So in fact, with helping the world, you mean helping another to remember myself or my own true nature. Like
Ultimately, yes,
him and me
are the same.
at the time.
That's right. You got it.
So not identifying also with these feelings and sensations, like if the guy is angry, you know that he is actually at this moment identifying with an idea of anything, and also with his feelings and sensations in his body.
That's right.
So helping him just means helping myself, because he's a reflection of my own self.
You and he are the same.
Alone,
Yeah, we call that wisdom. Usually, like Jan was saying, we separate ourselves from people. Like, I don't know, how do Austrians separate themselves from other people? They're from Turkey, we're not. They're Germans, we're not. I'm very familiar with how Americans do it. So you have all these ideas. A lot of these ideas are just downloaded in your head by your parents before you ever had any ability to think one way or the other about them. I was raised by Germans in the United States, so I definitely learned things about Jewish people. Since I'm American, I learned things about black people. I learned things about Hispanic people. You look, all kinds of software is downloaded from your parents before you ever have the wisdom to think, well, that's a good idea or that's a bad idea. So then when you start practicing, though, you can start letting go of those ideas. They won't go away, they just don't control you anymore. They kind of lose their grip on you, although they'll still be there. I know exactly what my mother thought about Jewish people because she was German. But my mother's best friend was Jewish. So obviously she wasn't controlled by that, any of those ideas. Like for me as an American, when I was growing up, our feeling towards Latin people, Hispanic people, is much different than it is in the United States today. When I go back to the United States today, what? It doesn't make any sense. You know? But these ideas are changing all the time, very fast. As fast as your thinking changes. Like during this 3 minutes, you watch your thinking, it changes so fast. In Buddhism, they say your mind changes 10,000 times a second. And from that, they concluded you're actually reincarnated 10,000 times a second. And all that means is that the mind works very fast. It's incredibly fast. Any other question? Yeah.
Why do we think so much, and why are we attached to our thoughts?
Right. So my teacher is always saying, thinking is desire, desire leads to suffering. If you're thinking, you have a problem. No thinking, No problem. Like when you ask me about existence and non-existence, already I get a headache because I used to be a philosopher. You know, like, oh God. But that's not good or bad. It doesn't mean no thinking. It means not attached to your thinking. So do you use your thinking, or does your thinking use you? So, if you download some software into your computer, that software will control your computer, right? So usually we download this stuff into our consciousness and then it controls us. You can feel it all the time. Like some idea will come up in your mind, then you'll get angry. Yeah. So it's about letting go of your thinking. Then you can use your thinking to help the world. We are thinking people. Your mind is made to think. The problem is you get attached to certain parts of it, and then that really causes a problem. So better is to not attach to your thinking. Just let it come, go, come. Then you can use it rather than it using you. I mean, you experience it all the time around desire and anger. Watch the next time you're angry at somebody, your mind will just go around in a loop, Let's see, I could let the air out of his tires. Let's see, I could say something bad to his wife. I could blah, 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 right? So then you're being used by your anger idea. Okay? So all of modern Zen style teaching comes from this, he's called the Sixth Patriarch. He's a monk in China who died. He died exactly 1,300 years ago. He died in the year, he died in 713. And his name was Hui Neng. He's the Sixth Patriarch. And he got enlightenment when he heard one line out of the Diamond Sutra. One line. Then, yeah, right. He got it. So that one line is very interesting. The one line says, when thinking arises in your mind, don't attach to it. Okay, you got it. Those are like the original instructions for living a happy life. All right. But like anything somebody says, there's a difference between understanding it and attaining it. Yes?
You earlier said that you do not really need a teacher for achieving that. And that brings me to this question of organized religion and organized structures, which tend to be difficult and tend to go against the main...
Right, exactly. So?
I'm still with that, puzzled by this problem of how to balance. Somehow they need to learn and to have some sort of
wisdom,
structured help for doing that, and on the other hand, not being attached to it. But I think there's a real problem there.
That's the trick. Because people will get very attached to it. I mean, now we have this new caliphate in the Middle East as of yesterday. The first day of Ramadan, ISIS declared a caliphate in northwestern Iraq and southeastern Iran, Syria. So then many religions, Islam is not special, have some kind of tight idea, like you have to do things this way. It even appears in Buddhism sometimes. But mostly Buddhism is like this, you probably notice it's not very hierarchical. There's no Buddhist pope. But it can be the same. So you have to use the techniques without being attached to them. Even certain branches of Buddhism will, they don't really fight, but we're better. They're not so good, right? It's pretty mild, though. But yeah, human beings just love to get a hold of something, and this is it. Interesting thing about Zen is Zen says this is it. Not attached to anything. So there's not much to get a hold of there. I said there's this whole thing about belief versus experience. Okay, so usually Middle Eastern religions rely heavily on belief. They have experience too, but they use it as a technique, belief. So like where I'm from in the United States, people are very concerned about whether you believe in God or don't believe in God. Very concerned about that. Personally, I care less. I don't care if you believe in God or not. So there's that belief. There's also this notion of inside religions and outside religions. So many religions have the big it, whatever the big it is outside, right? So maybe it's Jesus, or maybe it's God, or maybe it's Allah. Some religions, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, the big it is inside, or inside and outside are the same, right? So I live in Singapore. Most of the people in Singapore are Chinese, and most of them are Taoist. So the essential idea in Taoism is to become one, just like Buddhism. Boom. Completely take away your attachment idea and become one. So that means that there is no inside and outside. So even this discussion about is it outside you or is it inside you? Like I portrayed it as inside you, like a true self. But this true self means you take away the notion of inside and outside. Then you become one. But that idea is also in these Middle Eastern religions too. You're attempting to become one with God. You do maybe you do a practice like imitatio Christi, follow in the footsteps of Jesus. Jesus said, "Give your money to the poor and follow me." That's a good idea. I hardly have any Christian friends that do that, though. That's not good or bad. That's just the way things work. So, yeah, human beings can get just as attached to money or religion or sex or any of those things. I usually, human beings are kind of like, what is this? Human beings are kind of like Velcro. They stick onto things really easy. And they should be more like, well, this isn't very environmentally good, but they should be more like Teflon. Not stick. Sorry. Yeah, when you think of all the suffering that religion creates, it's incredible. Right now is 100 years since the beginning of the First World War. So I was reading some kind of analysis in the New York Times today about, well, the First World War was not the First World War. The First World War was actually the 30 Years' War. And blah, 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 blah. And of course, a lot of that involves religion, right? So, human beings can stick to anything. Better is, then you're free. Any other questions? Yes?
When does this opposite thinking start? So does it start with birth, or does it start before birth, or after birth?
I don't know. Actually, when it starts is not important. What's very interesting is when it stops. I think the reason the Buddha didn't answer that question is because the answer to that question would not be helpful. What's important is letting go of it. It's definitely there. We definitely have it. So how about letting go of it? Trying that. You know, you can see what holding on to stuff does for you. Ties you in knots. Well, I think that's enough blah, 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 blah. What's important is not what I said, but what you do. So what I recommend is doing some looking inside. And I don't know how it works, but looking inside without judging, without thinking good and bad about what appears in your mind is a very interesting thing. I don't know how it works, but it's possible to let go. Then, that's where the real goods is. But you have to do something. A good idea isn't enough here. You know, everybody wants a good idea. That's why you're always looking in books and reading editorials and talking to your intelligent friends, right? But that good idea isn't going to help you in the end. What you really have, like what he was talking about, what you really have inside, that's it. But that comes from you doing something. So most important is what you do. So every day, even if you just practice for like 5 minutes, like we just did, if you do that every day, that will have a result. Letting go. Then it's possible to help yourself, your family, your friends, the people you work with. It helps the whole world. So try that. It's better than the alternative. Everybody already knows what the alternative is, except usually they can't figure out how to get out. So the wonderful thing about the Buddha is he said some really good things about how to get out. Okay? Thank you.